Okay, so I think we can get started now. So the first thing that we need to do is open a web browser to give you a review of something before. So what I can open is Firefox, or you can open any browser you like, but I'm going to be using Firefox for today. So let's just go to my website and you can see this. So the previous class I told you how to use the web inspector, and on most browsers you can do right click inspect or Control Shift C or Command Shift C, depending on if you're on Mac or Windows. So now we have this. You can see that on the side here, it has a bunch of stuff, but what we're focusing on is this part. And you can see that as you hover over different parts of the screen, it kind of highlights different parts of the website. And you can also expand and click on these arrows to change them. So for example, if I were to change or use Control Shift C to select this part, it selects this piece of text, and you can find that if you expand it, the piece of text is here. Now, if you change this, it will also change it on the website. So the reason it does this is because this is actually how websites are made. So all websites, including like my website, the popular websites like YouTube, Facebook, Google, whatever, are all made with this thing called HTML. As I said, like it says search this HTML, and this is basically the HTML. Alright, and as I have said, websites are made out of files. That's the important thing to know, because as when you enter a URL, it's like an address, and addresses, it goes to that address and downloads files and opens it up, and the files that it downloads and opens up is the HTML file. And by writing this, you can make all of the websites. It's just that bigger websites are a bit more complicated, but in principle they do all the same thing. So to write the file, you had to put it somewhere first. So what we can do is basically, first of all, download a text editor, because you just need something that writes text. Technically, you could use anything, but it would be preferred if you use something that's made for programming, because it would just make your life much easier. So just go open a new tab and go to somewhere such as sublimetext.com. So this is basically an app that's available on Mac and Windows for editing text, and you can see that this exists. Okay, so when you go here, sublimetext.com, you will see a big blue download button. This app is basically completely free, so you can download this. If this for some reason doesn't work, you can download atom.io, which basically does the same thing, but it's made by other people and it's a different app. So atom.io. And you can see if you scroll down, it's just a text editor that looks a bit different, but does basically the same thing. So you can just click download on both of these and install it. Right. Well, that is installing. What we need to do is a place to put the files on your computer. So, as I said, like websites and whatever, browsers don't actually need the internet. Websites are not the same as the internet. They just download websites from the internet, kind of. So you can also put websites on your computer that only you can access. So I'm just going to create a folder, which you can do on your desktop. Okay, so we do right click, new folder, like that. And I'm just going to name a website. You can name it whatever you want. Or if you're on Windows, another thing you can do is Control Shift N or Command Shift N on Mac. So you can just do both of these things to create a folder. Now this is where we're going to be putting our file. Okay, now after the thing has finished downloading, it should be a zip file or it should be an exe, and then you can click open it and install. Just like that. And you can see it shows up. Great. So this part, I'm recording this because I forgot to record the first 10 minutes of the actual class. So I'm just re-recording this after the class for the video, but now I'll be switching to the real class, I guess. Okay, so you got a different screen. What screen did you get? because I believe if it doesn't show something like this, oh, I got your web on my website. I'm not sure how I can give you a different screen unless you're using dark mode where I have that version, but it doesn't show the words. Yeah, I don't know why the other thing doesn't work for you, but I'm okay. I'm just going to Google it for you. I don't know. Sublime text ration. Start Windows. Let's see if there's some option for that. Actually, a startup. Yeah, you can download from github.io if you, I mean, atom.io, you have a Mac. Both of these, yeah, all of these work for both Windows and Mac. You can download whichever you want. I would recommend you download Sublime Text if if it's possible, but yeah. Okay. So I am unable to run this is just something I Googled. I don't understand really that, but okay. So if this worked for some people, that's great. If it didn't, well, um, you can find. I have the recording of this thing, so if you manage to get it downloaded, that would be good. I'm not sure how I can do too much tech support for now, or you can just Google text editor or code text editor and maybe find ones that works. Just ton of some Sublime Text add-on. That's the most popular one since there's Notepad++, which only works on Windows. Vim is a bit complicated, and then there's a few other ones. And then there's VS Code. This is a this is another one. It's a bit more complicated. Yeah, it has a lot of different stuff. You don't really need to know this, but here I'm just going to get started right now. So what you can do is go to here, File, New File, Command N. So it shows you this tab, kind of like that, right? So what you can do, yeah, it's an app called Atom. Yes, it is. You can download Atom, or as I said, you can go to Sublime Text if Sublime Text does work. Both of them is fine. So just to show you what Atom looks like. Yeah, this app takes a bit longer to launch. It's a bit slower, so that's why I don't really like it. Uh, yeah, I have some pre-written code somewhere. But okay, yeah. This is essentially what Atom looks like. This is what Sublime Text looks like. It looks pretty much exactly the same, but I'm just going to get started right now. So if you go to the menu, which should be the same for Mac or Windows. So for Mac, it's on the title bar, but Windows is probably on the toolbar, something like that. But you can do File, New File, I mean Save, and it will show up this thing. You can put it on the desktop or select the website folder, save it whatever you want. And you have to name it this exactly, index.html. And you can click index.html. Right. So for the people that are still downloading or has problems, I'm sorry, there's not much I can do, but this video will be recorded and I can just upload it onto YouTube. So yeah. So for those people that there you can use it and you can just watch it back and do stuff. But don't worry, we're not going to code anything complicated. All we're going to do is type a few words, so you can probably catch up pretty easily. Right. So let's just go to our web. browser again and open my website. Click on this tab. So if you use the inspect element thingy, somewhere like here, right? Maybe let's just click the description and expand it. You can see it something like this. So we can just copy this basically and mimic it. And you can see that there's these like angle brackets things for less than or greater than signs. So you can see that on here, it starts with greater than P, like that. And then there's this thing called class equals blah, 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 but you don't need to know that. This part, you can just end it. It's called attributes. I'll get into it a bit more, but yeah, okay. I'm gonna make the font size a bit bigger, but basically you can do greater than, and then P, and then less than. Now now we do the same thing, basically greater than, P, less than, except this time you put a slash like that on your keyboard. It's near the shift key, you put a slash, and now you have this thing. And here we can type something like hello. You can type anything you want. Like Quintus said, you couldn't hear anything. I think other people are hearing me fine, right? I believe so. But we're just going to do this now. So let's just go over what this means. So started and greater than signs, and then this is basically like a label, kind of. So P, what does P stand for? P stands for paragraph. So this is all of the small type of text that exists here. And the stuff I write, basically the small-ish text are paragraphs. So it stands for paragraph, and the whole thing with the less than greater. Basically, we call these angle brackets in HTML, not less than or greater than signs, because they're not actually being less than or greater than anything. They're just angle brackets, basically like a label or piece of text. So yeah, less than, basically there's this tag. And to know where the tag ends or where the paragraph ends, it has the same thing. The tag repeated again, but has a slash to know that it's like an ending tag or a closing tag, whatever you can call it. And in the middle is the content. The content for paragraph tags are just the content for paragraph tags are just like the text that contains in it. There are different tags that do different things, but we're just going to start with this. Now it just does, yeah, it does. Now we have this. Okay. So, okay, Sam is drawing on the screen. I think we can just, I'm sorry, but you can just draw somewhere else, you know. But, right, so we have the tags. So you might be wondering, why is that? Why do we need a tag system like this? And the reason is that because the file, HTML file can only contain text, which means that you can only write stuff like this. The font size is not controlled by the file itself, it's controlled by the editor. Same with the colors you see here. The colors isn't the colors I basically did. The colors it's just to help you see it a little bit better. If the colors are different from mine, that doesn't mean anything. If it just looks about right, that's basically good. It's just helping you to visualize. So because the file is just plain text, which means that you can only write letters, numbers, and emojis and all of the text. Yeah, all of the text, you have to have a way to label stuff. If someone asks, how do you get an HTML file again? You can just create any file. So if you were to, for Sublime Text, if you do Command N, it creates a new file, right? If you go to File, Save, or Control S, Command S, it shows up this. This thing, regardless of whether you're using Windows or Mac, it should have a name place. And for this name place, you can just, you can, like this part, you can enter whatever you want. but we're entering is called index. The file name is index, and then you click dot HTML, and just save is automatically a HTML file. So I think that answers the question. Close the chat now. But yeah, tags, because they're all in plain text, we had to find a way to label it. If you were to come up with your own way, you might think of something like this, like header, right? This is a header, like that. But for HTML, they made it like this with tags, and in between is whatever you want. So now I said a lot of stuff to explain a simple thing, but just to make it completely clear that HTML is websites are just a file, and a file that's just made out of text, and you can just write the text in it. So to save the file, you have to do this. Command or Control S, and then it will save it. And now you can open your file manager and find wherever you save the file. For example, I saved it in the website folder. Now you can see that in the file, it shows up as index.html. So if you double click on the file, it opens it up, and opens it up with actually your web browser. So whatever web browser you use, it opens it up, and it writes hello on the side, like that. So that's basically how websites work. Now with all websites that have more text, I basically just wrote more of the same thing. So this is really just that simple. If you double clicking it doesn't work, if it opens it up in this or something, you can do right click, open this, and then choose your browser. So you can do like right click, open with Firefox. It will open the same thing on Firefox. They look a bit different, but it should all say the text hello here. Like, I'm just one last thing. For programming and doing web design, it is perfectly fine if you forget all of these things, and you have to just. I will encourage you to write more stuff here and do whatever you want. And also, it's perfectly fine to search it up on Google or whatever other search engine you use. I'm just going to search how to open HTML files with browser Windows, just to see for the people that are using Windows if I'm using it correctly. Okay, you can press Control O in your browser to open the file. Yeah, so you can do that. For macOS, you can also do the same thing if you use Command O, and you can choose the file, your file manager, and I think it opens it up correctly. So Control O on your HTML file, or navigate to the HTML file and double click it. So it works the same thing as in macOS. Great. So we have this. Now, just one more thing to clarify. When you click open this file, you can see that it opens it up and says hello here. If you change it to something else, it doesn't update. But there are two things that you need to do. First, you can just save the file with Control or Command S, or do File Save. Like this, click File Save, and then you have to reload the website. Because as I said, like the web browser basically gets the files or downloads them and then does whatever you want, and then it opens it up. So you have to reload the website for it to show up the different thing. Now here's one more thing. So let's say we can copy and paste this, duplicate it again. So if you were to do this twice, what it does is shows hello as you expect. If you save and then reload, it shows hello twice, one under the other. So basically this is how it works. And as I've said, the P stands for paragraph. Now, if you want to make something like a header, for example, it's a big piece of text on my website, you can actually change the name of this to be something else. So between the brackets, instead of P, you can replace it with H1, which stands for header 1. And now it has to end with the exact same thing. If you do H1 like that, and then save, reload, you can see the top thing is a bit bigger. So yeah, this is how all websites are made. There are other tags. I'm just going to go over them very, very quickly, called image tags, IMG, and then you can use the method to attach an image. Basically, there are other ones, H2. If you change both of this to H2, it basically stands for header 2, which is a smaller header. And then H3 is an even smaller header. You get the point. It goes until H6, I believe, and then it just stops. But you can have 6 different sizes for headers. Another thing that I need to say is that you can have tags inside of tags. And also the indentation doesn't matter. So you can press enter as many times as you want. You can put it literally next to each other on a single line. It will all show the same thing. You can get rid of the spaces. You can press enter here. So the format exactly doesn't really matter. But right, so you can place tags inside of tags. So instead of putting the P here, if we delete that, here you can put your cursor here. You can do P and then it ends with P. Hello, people. Now it says hello, people like that. You can see that it doesn't really work too well, because you shouldn't really do that because there's no reason that a paragraph should be in a header, but it does work. And to help you visualize it better, you can put, it's usually a convention to indent your tags like this, but it does the same thing because it's in a header. It basically behaves like a header and a paragraph. So it has the style of the big text as a header, but it's still like a paragraph, I guess, if that makes sense. But this is how all websites are made. This is a very simple, basic part. And it's 9:30 right now. So I hope you understand it. And this is basically your first website. Yay. I encourage you to do a bit more. You can change this to your name and write like about me or something, or just write about whatever you want. Just play and mess around with this. There are a bunch of other tags. If you just Google HTML tags and try to use them. But right, it's 9:30 right now, so I think I can end the class. So yeah, if you have any other questions, so like for the people that can't get it to download or stuff is weird, you can stay. I'm gonna stop the meeting, but I'm just going to restart it so you can, for the questions and the help part right after this class. So I'm gonna end it right now. I'm going to immediately restart it, and now we can just, yeah. So if you have any questions, you can just join again. If you don't, you can just leave. So, right. Thank you and see you next week. Stop sharing, end. So join if you want.